the Taysom Hill game finally happened. Now, Hill has been great in fits and starts, but I don't know that I would have ever guessed that Taysom Hill would have a game like you saw this Sunday, where not one, not two, but 3 rushing touchdowns, and then for good measure, making sure as a tendency breaker to prove, oh, wait, no, this is a guy who has played legitimate quarterback in the NFL as well. And that was kind of the idea behind all of this to begin with, throwing a touchdown well. And to Adam Troutman, of all people, which I thought was very funny, right? Troutman getting his big breakthrough. How about a little tight end to tight end action? How rare is that, Jake? Technically, right? I mean, I'm just saying, dude, technically, that is a tight end to tight end touchdown pass. I doubt there have been very many of those in NFL history. But overall, the Saints were in a must-win. They enter a must-win down Mike Thomas and Jarvis Landry. During the middle of the game, Chris Olave goes down, even though he was spectacular. And I do want to talk about that catch specifically because there's a lot to break down there. But despite all of that, Andy Dalton and this offense, shout out Pete Carmichael, credit where credit is due, criticism and criticisms due, they find a way to generate consistent offensive success and win an offensive battle, 39-32. Remember, we told you Seattle was second to last in the league in terms of points given up entering this game. And so the offense couldn't have, if you could not have success against this team, that was a major red flag. That was going to be major trouble. Well, Jake, crisis averted. They had the offensive success. They win the game. You are now stabilized a bit at 2-3, and you avoided the nightmare scenario. And you kind of feel good about quarterback now, right? I mean, Andy Dalton, it's impossible to escape. To me right now, Jake, Andy Dalton is the guy until he isn't.
I said it last week.
Yeah. No, for sure. But I'm saying, so, but, and I, we were foremost of the Jameis fans. And even last week, I was still unconvinced, but we have to be objective. And even though I still love Jameis objectively, especially without those weapons, to have the success, the offense looks way better under Andy Dalton right now.
Yeah, and sometimes it's not about your skill set. It's not about, the talent that you have. It's what the offense is calling and what the offense wants to be. And this is a new offense. Even though it's someone who has been in the old offense for a very long time, and Pete Carmichael, it's still his offense, and it just seems to be running better with a better flow to it with Andy Dalton at quarterback, right? And so you have to continue to ride the hot hand until he proves to you, because the first 3 games offensively were just extremely bad. I mean, you have one quarter out of 12 that you played, any kind of an NFL type offense. I mean, it was bad. And so then Minnesota, across the pond, you looked much better. It looked like you had a flow. You had a reason to some of the things you were doing. You started to pick up some of those pressures that were giving you hell in the first 3 weeks, and you had no answer to them. Now, some of that's coaching. Certainly it is. But now you've got this rhythm to you. You go out there and you score 39 points, and Taysom Hill worked like he never really worked before. Now, he's had flashes. He's definitely had moments. I mean, this was his game. When you look at Pro Football Focus, he graded out at 95%.
I mean, how do you
quarterback?
Well, I was going to say, which position are you talking about, right? Does he get multiple grades here? Like, how does this work? I guess.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's still got a run blocking grade now. It's 60%, but he got a run blocking grade. He's the only one that has every column: passing, receiving, rushing, pass blocking, run blocking. So
Sean Payton's out there just laughing to himself.
Either that or crying. Either laughing or crying because he could never maybe get that type of game. Now he certainly had, again, some moments, but. So when you look at the offense, like Andy Dalton, 75% grade. All right, that's about probably what you thought watching the tape.
Yeah.
Right? Not great, not game-changing, but he's doing enough within the offense for it to be an offense that can continue to move the football, make plays, and score and answer when they have to answer. Now, Chris Olave at 86%, he's worth everything you did in the draft.
That's an interesting point because, you may have given up a top 15 pick potentially for him, but right now, and it's not even close. If the season ended, he's your rookie of the year.
Yeah. Right. So you got something special. I know what you gave up, and I realize the way this season is trending, but he has been someone that has been worth, because you've given up picks before that have not been worth it.
Yeah.
This one at least looks like you have a football player that has been special so far.
While we're talking about the Olave, Danny, can you bring up the Olave touchdown, Jake? Because one thing that I really want to highlight about this touchdown is that Chris Olave laid it all on the line to make this catch. And I get what you're saying. You're saying that's a bit cliche, but watch the actual catch again. If you have not gone back and rewatched the super slow-mo replay, he catches the ball, Jake, around the defender's arm, right? So the defender's arm is hooked into his own, and he has the ball, and the defender is using all the momentum, all the speed that has been generated to drive his arm straight down into the ground. At that point, like at what point does your natural body's instincts take over and self-preservation take over? Because Olave's time slows down. And right here, Olave's body is doing the math where it's like, okay, I'm being ripped to the ground. Oof. If I want to stop myself, I'm going to have to extend my hands and let go of this ball because of where his arm is. The only way to maintain this catch is if you commit that your body, that you're just going to go face first pile driver into the ground because you're not letting go of that damn ball. That's effort. That's toughness. And it was hard to watch when he got hurt. I mean, look at all that force generated. But even with a defensive back falling backwards and using every bit of strength that he had to rip Olave's arms off, he could not. So it's strength, it's toughness, and it's a touchdown. Very glad that the refs got that right and reviewed it and called it a touchdown. Just a fantastic job by the rookie Chris Olave.
Yeah, he's been everything that he's been advertised, and you didn't even know like the toughness aspect of it because in college he wasn't asked to do that. He was the burner. He was take the top off the defense, and he certainly can do that. But you're right. I mean, a play like this, I mean, now obviously you're worried about him now moving forward and the way he walked off the field. He did still he gave like the he was like, look, I don't really know exactly what's going on here, but I know it was a touchdown. So he's been a lot of fun to watch. He has been a bright spot really all season long, even when the offense did have its struggles. There was times that he was running down the field open. You just couldn't find a way to get him a good pass and get him the football. So he continues to be somebody the Saints can count on. I think Ryan Ramczyk probably had one of his better games. He's starting to be the player that we know he's always going to be. I thought Andrews Pete kind of the same thing. When you take a look at the tape, it's just this offensive line has the pieces.
You paid him to be that same thing, though. So it's like it is what it is at this point.
This is probably the game that Hurst probably struggled the most as well because I actually think he's actually been pretty solid at left tackle. But that left side
well, you lose Teron, and I know that Teron Armstead wasn't always healthy, right? And you thought that you'd have Trevor Penny come in and maybe even start here year one. And so, like, maybe Penny makes it all worth it in the end. You have a lot of guys to develop, but yeah, it's one of the biggest absences that you're feeling this season, I would say, is no Teron Armstead.
And again, you have a first-round left tackle that you drafted that is, trying to recover from an injury. And then once you get him back in the fold, maybe you can be creative. You can do a couple of different things. And so we'll see if that position can get an upgrade within this year. But that was one of the few things that you look at on the offense that still you're waiting for it to solidify itself, and it just hasn't yet. Because the last couple and Cesar Ruiz, I mean, okay, maybe it's an offensive line issue, but there was a couple of times. But Ramczyk's playing at a very high level. Hurst has played at a high level. He didn't in this game. Really the first time that you kind of notice him not doing so. You have reinforcements hopefully coming if Trevor Penny can get back on the field, but at least the offense, as far as the skill players, are starting to find their way.
Shout out Pete Carmichael. Great game plan, right?
Yeah.
And we have criticized Pete Carmichael when we felt like it's been really bad. Well, today was stellar. And it could be a function of personnel. I do think that Dalton is better suited to take advantage of some of the screen game and other things that the Saints have always wanted to do that maybe Winston has struggled with. Look, the bottom line is we said we wanted to see Alvin Kamara get the touches and you would be rewarded, and Alvin Kamara got the touches and rewarded. 23 carries, 103 yards, 6 catches for 91 yards. That's that guy.
Yeah.
That's who you need to rely upon. That's why he has been the transcendent force that he has since he entered the NFL. So in all, if my math is correct, that's 29 touches for about 200 yards. That's excellent. That's exactly. And then obviously, why I say shout out Carmichael is because then you throw in the added wrinkle of all the Taysom Hill stuff, which worked to perfection.
And you're down players. You're down offensive weapons, okay? So you have a couple of options. You can try to be the smartest guy in the room, and you can try to not give it to your best player because you think the defense is keying on that player, or you can say, this is my best player.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it to him because if I lose, I'm going to at least know that I gave my best offensive player that's available the football as many times as I could.
Well, and you know what yesterday reminded me is how much I have missed the Alvin Kamara steady cam running style, where his upper body, it's like watching a movie where they're filming, they're like riding a Jeep, but the camera's just completely still. Like his upper body just doesn't move from its flat plane. But then some of the jukes that he put on, they're just so smooth and so easy. Like when he slipped through the crack on the left side that one time, it's a sight to behold when Kamara's in the zone like he was yesterday. Shout out Al Woods. How about it, dude? Al Woods, I mean.
Look at my man right there in the
middle. Still
middle.
holding it down. I know the Seahawks defense was nothing to write home about today, but it wasn't Al Woods' fault. Al Woods is a beast, captain of the Seahawks, former LSU. And he wanted this one a little bit, dude.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you don't.
4th round pick, you get released out of training camp as a 4th rounder, and then you go and play a bazillion years afterwards?
Yeah. This
your hometown team?
Decade. The guy's been in the league for a decade now, and he wanted to get one back on his old boys. Great job by Al Woods. Sticking with the Seahawks real quick, Jake. I can only say this because the Saints won, and so there's no anger, frustration there. But the Geno Smith comeback continues to be a pleasure to see.
Oh, I love it. I actually do love it.
For
I don't know Geno. I don't know. Yes. I never met him. Don't know him. But I love the fact that when you are in the league this long, T, and you get a chance, it's like you get to validate everything you've probably been saying. Like, man, if I just had a chance, like on a real football team and not the ones I've been a part of. And the Russell Wilson struggles too. Seattle fans are like,
oh, they're loving it.
They're
loving it. I follow a few Seattle fans, and already there's all kind of tweets about locking up Geno long term, which is still maybe like I don't know about all that.
Is Geno your age?
I believe so. Yes, because
y'all played against him, right?
Yeah.
So he's a little bit older.
Yeah. No, it's one of those deals where the only thing I would be a bit concerned about are we dealing with like a Case Keenum situation where Keenum kind of popped off that 1 year like crazy, but it doesn't take away from congrats to him and what he's doing in the short term. It's fun to see. And we all like when somebody kind of shakes off the labels that have been put on them and says, no, I can do this, and he does it. And then, did you have a shout out? I got one more.
No, I was just going to kind of back up like what you said about Geno. Like in the NFL, you want an opportunity. Like you want a fair chance, not only like to go out there and succeed, but to prove it to yourself as well.
Yeah.
Like we've all been through those type of moments. Like, whatever you're doing is like, man, if I just had a chance to do this and to prove to myself and prove to others that I could do it. Now, the NFL is all about opportunities and the chance to go out there and do it for the most part, because if you're in the NFL, chances are you're a Jimmy and Joe, right? We always talk about that. So it's like getting that chance. When you get that chance, which way are you going to go? And when you see a guy go the way of, hey, I'm going to be successful, I am successful, it always makes me like feel a little something special for it, because sometimes you don't get that opportunity.
Well, and I always feel good for somebody who is drafted to play quarterback for the Jets, which is like, I mean, you were doomed from your inception. The same way that LSU was doomed as soon as they fumbled that kickoff, as soon as the Jets read Geno Smith, he was doomed. And so now watching him get in a more functional environment and have success is nice. And then finally, we got to shout out the legend, man. There's levels to all of this, and he reminds us weekly. And that's Cam Jordan. Did they end up giving him the full 2, or did he get 1.5?
1.5
on the day. Okay, I
figured
it was going to be 1.5.
It's what I heard the Cajun Cannon when he was giving the stats in the post-game radio show.
Yeah, I figured it was a 1.5 off that second one. But, I mean, Cam Jordan, you could talk all the trash, and I know people were trying to trash talk him before the game about maybe a lack of sacks in this first quarter of the season. Just know this. Cam Jordan is always going to find a way to make the plays in. He's going to find a way to get his, and he was excellent again in the Superdome on Sunday. And the last thing, Jake, shout out 4-minute offense. An underappreciated but beautiful portion of the game.
It's the best portion of the game there is.
When they know you have to run and you can still run it, and you close out a game with no BS, no Marshawn Lattimore getting a 15-yard penalty, lining up like a young Hoku, maybe 60-yard game, like no drama. Let's just kneel it out, just get the 2 first downs. The Saints did that, and that was wonderful to behold.
There's not a better portion of football than a 4-minute offense, like T-Bob said, It is alpha versus alpha, and who's going to be the ultimate alpha. I'm running the football. You kind of know what plays I'm going to run. We're not going to run anything, creative here because we're not going to take a chance at fumbling the football or having a handoff that ends up on the ground. We are going to line up and run a basic run play, and we dare you to stop it. And if you can't do it, there's not a better feeling offensively.